What's up, everybody? This is Rob Dam TV. Let's check up on gaming news for this week. So Highguard is finally here. For months, it was pitched as either the next evolution of the FPS, or the next game journal circle jerk. After spending a few hours with it myself, I don't think it's either. It's not revolutionary, it's not a disaster, it's something I'd say even worse than both. It's forgettable. Let's start with what works. The mounts, they're pretty solid. Being able to summon a horse, or a bear, or some sort of weird cat, and move quickly across the map feels pretty smooth and responsive. It's not exactly a groundbreaking mechanic, but it's implemented well. The shooting itself, perfectly fine. Not best in class, not especially weighty, but fairly competent. Guns fire the way you expect them to, abilities activate reliably. Some hero designs have some interesting ideas behind them. Killmonger haircut over there has an electric spear ulti that basically one-shots most characters. The spiky-haired K-pop demon hunter band member looking kid, he can construct ice barriers and shove them around to control space. There are even some glimpses of creativity in the kit design. But that's about where the praise runs out. Highguard's biggest problem isn't that it's broken, it's that it feels empty. There's almost no meaningful progression. You earn currency, that's the loop. Silver currency for cosmetics, purple for battle pass style unlocks, and of course, a premium store is fully stocked from day one. What you don't earn is status, mastery, or identity. No character leveling, no visible experience ranks, no long-term investment that signals commitment or skill. You don't grow, you just accumulate skins. Now, let's break down how a match works for those of you who haven't had to go through this mess. This is where things start to unravel. You spawn in your castle, you reinforce some walls protecting your crystal, then you wait. A barrier blocks you from leaving for a noticeable chunk of time, nothing to shoot, and nothing to interact with. Just preparation and delay. When the gate finally opens, you ride into a large open area, and here's the strange part. There's no AI presence, no bots, no neutral enemies, no wildlife, no roaming threats, just resource nodes and loot chests scattered across an otherwise lifeless map. You mine for blue crystals, you open chests for armor and weapons. Gear comes in the usual rarity tiers, common to legendary. It's familiar territory. But you're not fighting anyone during this phase, it's just pure collection. In a first-person shooter, eventually, a sword spawns at the center of the map. This sword is the key to initiating a siege. Both teams, 3 players each, converge on it. This is where actual combat finally happens. The fights themselves can be pretty tense with abilities flying and revives in play. There are moments of chaos that feel pretty promising. When a player is eliminated, they drop an orb that teammates can channel to revive them. Enemies can destroy that orb to force a full respawn back at base. It's a decent little mechanic that creates micro-objectives during different skirmishes. Now, if your team secures the sword, you transport to the enemy castle and activate a siege sequence. A large war machine breaks open the defenses. At that point, the match transitions into a sort of interior assault phase. This is the part where Highguard kind of resembles the game it really wants to be. Planned explosives at control points, walls crumble, abilities collide, the phase finally picks up. There's pressure, there's urgency, there's some actual interaction and flash. And then it all ends. Because if the siege fails, or the timer runs out, the entire process resets. Back to base, reinforce, wait, ride it out, collect resources, contest the sword, siege again. The structure isn't terrible in theory. The problem is how much downtime surrounds the action. There are long stretches where nothing meaningful happens. No secondary objectives at all, no dynamic events, no evolving threats. And because the core mode is 3v3 only, the map often feels oversized for the number of players in it. 6 people total in a large open environment with no AI presence, no bots, makes the world feel underpopulated. Another problem, there are no other modes at launch, no team deathmatch, no domination style control mode, no variation to break up the repetition, just a single siege loop. That lack of variety compounds the progression issue, since there's no ranked ladder, no character mastery path, no evolving match structure. You're essentially replaying the same scenario as medics. Even the world building feels minimal. There's no strong narrative hook explaining why these battles exist. There's no environmental storytelling that gives a setting weight. It's castles and heroes and glowing crystals, but little context tying it together. Technically, there are also some rough edges, audio mixing can make it difficult to determine where the enemies are during fights. Spatial awareness is critical in most PvP shooters, and the inconsistency there hurts. Motion blur being forced at launch is an odd choice. Some players have reported some performance inconsistencies, some issues despite having 50/90s. Match integrity also feels shaky. If someone leaves or disconnects, there doesn't seem to be a strong system to compensate or rebalance. In a 3v3 environment, losing one player drastically shifts the outcome. What's interesting is how quickly engagement dropped after launch. The game saw a strong initial player spike, something in the 90,000s. Curiosity was pretty high, but now it's dipped all the way to around 9 or 8,000 players. That's not the pattern of a hated game, it's the pattern of a game that fails to hold attention. And that's Highguard's real issue. It's not offensively bad, it's not aggressively broken, it just lacks depth. The hero abilities hint at a more dynamic experience, the siege concept could have supported multiple modes. The open map could house AI factions or world events. There's a lot of potential there, but potential isn't content. Right now, it feels like a framework waiting for features. Calling it a genre-defining shooter is a stretch. Mechanically, it blends some familiar elements, bomb plant objectives, light looting, hero abilities, some even shield-based combat. None of those are inherently flawed, but none are pushed far enough to feel transformative either. It's a collection of recognizable systems assembled competently, but without a compelling reason to really return. In most other competitive games, players need either meaningful progression or some sort of high skill expression, some variety, or even some kind of social pull. Highguard clearly hasn't established any of those pillars yet. Could it evolve? Sure. With additional modes, PvE integration, maybe some stronger progression systems, better world building, it could find an identity, but in its current state, feels like an early draft presented as a finished product. So, if you're curious, it's free. There's no barrier to trying it yourself, but temper expectations. Highguard doesn't collapse under its own ambition, it just never reaches it. If you made it this far, thank you all for listening. I'm going to post more consistently from now on all news related to gaming and other media. If you can, drop a comment what you'd like me to break down next or whatever new gaming industry slop turns up. If you found this useful at all, subscribe. We're just getting started. See you all in the next one.